In this automation, we are automating Stripe payments. So when a client makes a payment, we send that data, we sync that data to your Notion CRM. I will launch this automation as a template that you can easily duplicate and use for your own in Anyten, Make, Zapier, and other platforms, only if there is enough interest. So if after watching this video, you are interested in this automation for your business, please submit the waiting list linked below. Here is my Notion workspace. This is the 24 assets. It is a template available for purchase. You can find it in the description of this video. As part of this template, there is a CRM with contacts, companies, and deals. And this automation acts on this CRM specifically. So for example, I have this deal here, sample deal 3. It is in the contacted status. I can see there is a contact related to it with an email. That's very important. I'm going to explain it more later. And the company related to this contact. And there is a value and any other info here. So let's say we received the payment from this contact. So the automation would run immediately upon a received payment. Now I'm running it manually to show you what it looks like. You can see the deal in Notion. It is marked as closed won. The close date gets populated automatically. I can see test contact in here with the related deals, the company data in here that now is a client because there is a deal that is closed won, at least one of them. And in addition to all of this, it also adds the contact to a MailerLite list. MailerLite is an email newsletter system where you can create lists, you can create groups, segments of your audience and send out newsletters or campaigns regularly to them as you wish, as well as set up landing pages for your newsletter, forms, and other elements that are complementary in the world of newsletter and email management. Now let's walk through the steps involved in the automation as well as the requirements, because there are some things that you need to have that are implied in this automation in terms of account setups. And so that's what I'm going to share with you right now. First, let's look at the flow. We first get successful payments from Stripe, and I'm going to show you exactly how to set that up. Although if you download the template, in case I launch it, then you will have just a wizard that helps you set up a webhook. Essentially, we set up a webhook in the automation software that pulls payment intents, in particularly successful payment intents, which means payments that went through successfully from your Stripe account. We then get the customer because the payment intent has customer data, or in particular the customer ID in it. And so we get the Stripe customer to get more details about that customer, in particular the email address, which we'll then use to search the contact in Notion. I showed you earlier what the contact in Notion looks like. It is related to a deal and it does have an email address. And that's what we match in Notion to find the contact. If the contact is found, which was our case, and that would be naturally the ideal scenario, and what would happen most of the times, then we get the deal. We can add the Stripe ID. We can add the Stripe ID to the contact or to the company to match it in the future. We get the deal, and if we find the deal, we mark it as closed won on the pipeline. We create a project as well. That's something that I actually forgot to show you. But if we look at the sample deal here, once it was marked as closed won, there was also a project related to it. So it was created right here. And now I can go in Notion and I have the project created for me for the delivery side of things. And I can just go here, set the template, set all the tasks if there are automations. Although this is outside of the scope of this video, I can make a video in the future about maybe the onboarding steps involved in delivering a service to a client, maybe an email sequence in MailerLite. And these are the things that can happen when there is a payment happening in Stripe. And so there is a new client. And if you are in the services business, then you need to deliver that service. And that's what this system can focus on in particular. And finally, once we create the project, we then add the contact to MailerLite, to your email list. And then in there, you could have automations native to MailerLite that send a nurture sequence, an onboarding sequence, or whatever you wish to do. A few times, because of lack of data in your Notion CRM, you might encounter unexpected results. For example, we don't find the contact or we don't find the deal. And that's why in the template, I thought of handling these options by sending an email to you. So you get notified when something is not found and you can take action manually if needed in Notion to add that data and to make sure that things go smoothly. Now onto the requirements. What you need is a Stripe account first, a Notion workspace second. Ideally, you have a deals, contacts, and companies database, just like I showed you earlier in the video so that we can use that exact logic from the automation template that I'm sharing with you. If you have a different setup, that's okay. You can understand maybe the principles behind these automations and build your own, or get the template and then customize it for your own specific use case. You will need one automation tool. That could be Make, it could be N10, it could be Pipedream, it could be Zapier. If there is enough interest, I plan to build templates on each of these platforms. And you will need a MailerLite account so you can get your email list set up, send campaigns, add subscribers, manage them, add them to group, segment them, and then send out campaigns as needed. Okay, let's look at the Make scenario as an example. The first step is a Stripe Watch Events module. This is a webhook, meaning it is instantaneous. So in here, what I did is I clicked on Add. I renamed it to Payment Intent Successful because that's what we are watching here. Because when we set up a Stripe webhook, we can define what kind of events we want to get. In this case, I want to get payment intents, and in particular, the successful ones, which means a payment that has gone through, that has been paid, the money has been received, and that means there is something that needs to happen in my CRM. So then I set up my connection here. I used my Stripe test mode for this. If you do not have a connection to Stripe yet, you will be asked to set it up if you get the template in case I launch it. And so you can just click on Add. Then we can select the group. In our case, that would be payment intent. And then we select the event, that is payment intent succeeded. And then I save and the webhook gets attached there. Right now, I'm not saving it because it's already here. So now we got the webhook set up by Make. We don't need to do anything in Stripe. And this now receives new payments, successful payments. So then once we get this payment, we retrieve a customer on Stripe by passing the customer ID from the object of the previous module. Customer ID is right here. Once we get that customer, we search the contact in Notion. So in here, I will insert my contacts database ID, and I will look for the contact based on the Stripe customer email address. Here, you might ask, how do I get the customer into Notion? Well, this could be another automation that comes before this one. I plan to make a video about that as well. Then, if the contact is not found, we create it in Notion. So in the contacts database, we add the new contact. We map the name from Stripe, if there is a name. Otherwise, we just use the email because the name is required. Then you can go ahead and manually edit that in Notion. We then add a contact type, that is customer, and we can add additional info here. The email, for sure, but then there is additional properties that we can populate if needed. And then here there is a filter if the company doesn't exist, because usually a contact is related to a company. If that doesn't exist, then we also create the company in here. We get the name, we get the website, and that's about it. And then we send an email to myself, to yourself, to get notified that the deal hasn't been processed, and you might want to check out what this payment is about in case you need to do anything on the CRM or project side of things. The second option is that we find the contact in Notion, and so when that is found, we then find the related deal that is not already closed. So in here, we filter the deals database by contacts, contains page ID, that's the contact, and the status is not closed won, and the status is not closed lost, which means it's an active deal in the pipeline. If we find this, then we update the deal to closed one, and we create a project in the projects database in Notion. And this project will be related to the deal that was marked as closed one. In any case, whether the deal is found or not found, we then proceed into the second route, and this route adds the contact to MailerLite. So we create or update a subscriber based on the email address from Stripe. We can add additional data in here as needed. We can have custom fields, as I do here, for example, with product both, NPS submitted. These are extra things that I haven't included in the template, but that are optionally available to you. And finally, we might send another notification to yourself to let you know that this process was complete, or if you want to check that everything is okay in Notion. That's it for this video. I plan to create other automations of this kind to cover the sales, the onboarding, the project management process in Notion, integrating Notion with other tools, only if there is enough interest in this topic. So if you are interested in what I've shown you in this video, please do let me know by liking, by commenting, and also join the waiting list if you wish to get this automation template with also the option to get it bundled with the 24 assets template that I showed you in this video. So you have everything in one, and you can just plug and play to pretty much immediately save time, effort, resources, and get your data accurate in your Notion workspace, which then also facilitates the use of Notion AI or other AI tools to retrieve insights, knowledge, and also get a bit more creative about what data you have and what you can do with that data for your business and life. For now, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.